What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. It's Dunkin Junk Day. It's Friday, so hopefully everybody's looking forward to the weekend and hopefully some fun casting and turning and making or whatever in your workshop this weekend. So today we're going to be doing part 3. We're still working on the goodies that Steven sent in. So we didn't do the shark vertebrae yet, and so that's kind of the big one. We didn't do that or the pine cones that he made. And so Steven, Five Flags Creations, he molded these. So, molded a real pine cone, molded real shark vertebrae. And he, made a silicone mold of it and made some fun things out of resin for us to recast. Last time I turned one of the Lotus pod stoppers and we got a couple more Lotus pods. So I was thinking maybe we'll try pen blanks on these today. I'm not sure though. So I didn't really plan or think about this at all, kind of intentionally. I thought, let's just see what everybody has to say, and any input is welcome, of course. But I'm excited to do the shark vertebrae. I've done these before with like real shark vertebrae and they turn out really neat. So I'm pretty excited about these, seeing what we can do. Probably do pen blanks with those as well. And then we'll probably do, I don't know, I'm thinking we'll toss a bunch of pine cones in a 4-inch PVC pipe. I just thought we could kind of throw a bunch of them in there and just kind of have at it with the colors. And then, like I said, I'm not 100% sure on the Lotus pods. This one's really cool because he did the abalone shell kind of, treatment on it. And so it'd be kind of a shame to just make this, where you're cutting and all you see is the lines. So I don't know about a pen blank on that. We could maybe do a pen blank with this one. It's a little bit less of a big deal, I would say. But anyway, so hopefully you guys have some ideas. And then as usual, the first super chatters will get, everybody that gets in line on the super chats gets to pick colors. So if you want to help support the show, that's a good way to do it. And you can get in on the color picking. So let me stop. Man, there's lots of people here. I think Dominic was here like 30 minutes early. 29 minutes early. And Doug is here actually. So if you guys haven't seen Doug's latest creation, it is the coolest thing ever. I really like this piece. He had some trouble with it. It was a goblet and the thing kept breaking on him. And I gotta be honest, I probably would have thrown the thing through the window before I kept gluing it back together. But he made it through, he persevered, and I am glad that he did it because the piece is awesome. So you got to go check that out. He actually used some of my Blurple, the color shift powder in that piece. So that was even something kind of cool. It was like not that I helped out or anything, but it just I was like, wow, that's really cool looking. And it looks like planets in the sky basically. There's like one that, I mean, the Jupiter one looks exactly like Jupiter, and these were just like leftover pores that he made. The Mars one looks awesome, and so it's a cool piece. Go and check it out. There's a link down there. So how's it going, Dominic? And Kim's here. Michael, what's up? Rich is here. And who else? Jacob's here. Nice. Welcome. And Jen's here, of course. Nice. And Daryl. Man, lots of people here already. You guys are just doing it up in the chat. And Steve's here. Mark's here. Jim's here. Wow. Welcome, everybody. And Mert's here, too. And Billy. Jeez. Everybody's here. And Randy, too. Cool. So, let's see here. I was with, he probably did not want me in his shop because I just get crazy when things don't go my way, especially at the end of the project. That's when all these things happen, and it always happens that way, doesn't it? One more cut, one more pass, and it blows up and you're like, ah. So I was very, very happy with his perseverance on that piece. But the piece just turned out cool. And regardless if there was, any fixes or cracks or anything like that in it, it is really awesome looking regardless. So make sure if you haven't checked out that video, go and check it out because it's a good one. So let's see here. I have not seen Nick. To be honest, guys, I have not had time to watch videos really lately. So I'm way behind on a lot of people's videos right now. But I will go and check it out. Stardust, the bigger ones. So the Starlight glitter, those ones? Is that what you're talking about? Stardust? For the pine cone ones? Is that what you're talking about? We gotta clarify here. I gotta know what we're talking about here. Yeah, crazy busy. And I was just out of town last week, so we were hiking and biking and doing stuff outdoors. So coming back in the shop, first you're trying to acclimate a little bit to not just sitting around or being outside doing nothing, no work type thing, and then I had to kind of catch up on stuff. So I've been behind. So, and Mike McEwen's here. Yeah, how's it going, man? Sweet. How about some metallic gold? Nice. All right. So let's see. Did Jen answer the question? I'm not sure here. I don't think so. I just want to I want to confirm, Jen. Are you talking about the pine cones one, the big one with the pine cones in it? Because we can start with that one, and if both of you guys are kind of, let's see here. Oh, I think Frank was saying, "Dang, Jen got glitter." Metallic gold. Had to cut open his pressure pot. Oh, that's not good. Jeez. Planting deer food. Well, welcome. I'm glad you made it. So, like I said, so for the pine cones, let's just start with that because I think that's what Jen was. I don't which pour. Oh, I see. Let's do the pine cones first. And I think the glitter. So, and you're talking about the starlight, right? Starlight glitter. These guys. Starlight. So I got the regular starlight, and then I have the micro starlight as well. So that would be pretty cool. We'll do a little bit of gold, metallic, and Nick needs a new pot. I haven't had that problem ever. I'll have to check that out. Oh, I see. Yeah, and that's so they make liners for pressure pots. I've never used one because I've just never, me, I don't really use molds that are probably going to leak. I mean, I make my own usually in buckets. There's almost no way for a bucket to leak unless you've like drilled into it or done something weird. So yeah, I think you can afford a new one. But that still sucks. Starlight glitter. Okay. I don't have any other. Oh, are you talking about the? You guys got to tell me exactly what you're talking about because I have no clue. Are you talking about this stuff, the color shift glitter, or the starlight glitter? Because those are totally different things. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to put the wrong thing in. Everything ends up being deer food. Nice. That's true. There's an easy solve right there, Dominic. All right, so let me get my 4-inch mold out. So I'm just using a 4-inch PVC pipe. Let me go get a link real quick. For anybody that's kind of new, most of you guys know the drill. I got most of the links, not every single thing that I've ever used, but I have most of the stuff, the major things that I use. If you're ever wondering, where do you get the PVC pipe or where do you get the scale, like kind of the typical things that I use. That's on the tools I use page on my website. So we got that there. A lot of times if I'm using something very specific in a video, then I'll put links as long as I remember, which I usually do for the important things. As long as I remember, there's usually a link to specific things in a video. I'm going to go blow this off with air. There's a couple little particles of stuff. And we don't want particles of stuff. And these things you can pick up. I'm pretty sure I have links to these as well. Let's see here. Sometimes you got to kind of silicone plugs for PVC pipes. Yeah. You can get these at Turner's Warehouse. It's a silicone plug. It makes things super easy for your PVC pipe castings. Easy to demold. Everything's good to go. You don't have leaks. Maybe I don't know what Nick was using, but these work pretty well. The only thing that I will say is, and I haven't really had this happen to me yet, I guess, but one thing that I would recommend is to put this on something else. especially if you're casting something kind of like for bigger pipes, 4-inch ones that have like, that may be heavy. You don't necessarily want to pick it up this way because there's nothing it's just friction holding this plug in, and it is pretty tight, but you're much better off, just stick it on a little piece of PVC or HDPE or something like that, and move, just to make sure there's support. You wouldn't want your entire casting to dump out on you. that would not be fun. So let's see here. So I'm going to go over and spray this real quick with some stoner. Actually, I can probably just do this. You guys can kind of see what I'm doing. The easy cam. I like to spray away from stuff that I'm casting. You guys are probably sideways. I can't see the camera thing. That's a little bit better. So I'm over here, and I'm not gonna like super soak this thing. I just want to cover the whole thing. I'm just kind of giving it a few sprays. Hit the bottom there, and that'll just make sure that when you're demolding this thing, it should slide pretty much right out. Sometimes like certain brands of PVC pipe may work better than others for releasing. Usually, smoother pipes are going to be better. So I don't know. I like to try and give it a decent coating the first time I use it. And then if you're going to continue, at least if you're kind of using it somewhat frequently, usually you can get away with just kind of giving it a little squirt here and there, and you're good to go. So we got that. Let's see here. Let me scoot back over here, see what Jen said. The first starlight. Okay. All right, cool. So we got Steve wants interference blue. I think that's going to be pretty interesting. So let's cut it there for this casting. I don't want to put too much stuff going on in here because we already got pine cones, right? And so I'd like to kind of keep it, we kind of need to keep it transparent because we need to see the starlight glitters in there. Otherwise they're just going to pretty much be gone. So we'll do probably mostly clear, and then we'll add some wisps of metallic gold and interference blue, which I think is going to be pretty cool. And then we'll add some starlight glitter to that. So let me get my Book O notes out. And let's see, is anything else going on in the shop? Not really. I think I forgot to post the video of that stopper, or not the bottle opener, and I forgot to bring it. I took it home to show Gretchen. I actually went back. So here's the deal with the sanding and the polishing and all that stuff that was going on Wednesday. I was getting a little frustrated because it wasn't buffing out. It's really weird. And so what I've determined, what I did was I just chucked it back up and I re-sanded the thing. And the problem was I didn't do a good enough job sanding. And so this kind of highlights, you really need to make sure that you've gotten every previous grit scratches out before you move on. And I really wasn't, looking at it very closely. And I think I need to start doing that on the stream, because what ends up happening is I get to the end and I'm like, oh, this isn't really looking that good. And it's just because I haven't sanded enough. And at that point, I don't want to start over again on a live stream, so frankly, I don't want to start over again anyway. So, I'm just as guilty as everybody else with sanding and not sanding enough on this stuff. So, it's really important to make sure that you've gotten that thing, get all the tool marks out. That's a big one also. A lot of people think that it's just about sanding, and the tool marks, they're kind of grooves too. So make sure you do good sanding, and by the time you've gotten up to like buffing wheels, if it's sanded up, like if you can get a piece up to, absolutely, hands down, there's no question that it's up to 1500, buffing wheels will take care of all the rest, and it's going to look fabulous. So just kind of a little reminder. Now, I was kind of messing around with different, I tried the Meguiar's 205. Well, that stuff is super, super high gloss. And so basically, if the piece isn't sanded properly, that stuff's not going to really work. But I will say it was kind of weird. And that new buffing wheel, the new string buff from Beal, I don't know. That thing was really, really, really soft. I mean, you could just push the piece like all the way into it. So it was kind of a weird sensation. It wasn't like the other string buff that I have. So just wanted to kind of mention a couple of little notes about what was going on, but I did manage to get it finished up, and I forgot to post it, I think. So here, let me switch views. Steven, so first off, we are going to do the pine cone, guys. I got the little bucket. So we got a 4-inch mold, PVC pipe, and we're just gonna kind of do, you know, toss in all of our pine cones. I think that would be kind of cool. And so the colors that we got going on right now, and we're closed for super chats. The colors have been picked, so the next super chatters will get in on the next one. Let me write some notes here. But we got blue, interference blue, metallic gold, and we're gonna add some starlight glitter to it, all in clear. So I think it should be kind of cool looking. All right, so I'm writing down some notes here. First, the date, 24th. We're doing faux fun. Faux show. Let's see, faux fun number 3. Okay, so number 1 is going to be the 4-inch PVC with pine cones. All right, so if I remember correctly, this mold should hold about 900 grams or so, something like that. I'm going to just do about like 800. I'm just going to, let's just do 9. I'm pretty sure. Wait, 900. No, is that right? Uh-oh. Dinner's ready. Let's do 800 grams. I think that's enough. So we're going to do 800 grams, and then we're going to break off a few colors. We don't really need a lot. That's the beauty of this. You can use mostly clear, and then we just add some kind of like swirly, you know, stuff here and there. So you don't really need to break out a lot. It's going to be mostly clear. So let's just do like 30 grams each. One is going to be interference blue. One will be metallic gold. And I'm guessing you mean the Alumilite metal metallic gold. And then we'll add a scoop of starlight glitter. And I have the regular, so we're going to add the starlight. This is the kind of chunkier, little, slightly bigger pieces. Holographic fun. Come on, get on there. I don't want to spill it all. And then I also have now the micro starlight, which again, it's kind of like holographic again, but it's like super tiny little particles of it. So depending on what kind of like of a starlight effect you want, I got both of those on my website now under the casting supplies. All right, so we got all that. We're ready to rock. Let's get a cup. Let's see here. I think we can fit 800 grams in a quart mixing cup. It's been a while since I've done that. 800. We might have to mix up 2. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be kind of close. I mean, it's almost about the same size. So I think we're going to actually have to mix up a little bit. I think I'll do two cups worth. So I'm just going to mix up 600 to start. Then I'll mix up 200 more. In fact, what I think I'm going to do, I'm just to make sure, it is a little bit warm in the shop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up 600 in that big quart mixing cup, and I'm going to just mix 200. It's all going to be clear. But that way I'll just have everything ready to rock. I could go get a bigger bucket, but I don't really have one that's ready. Now, if you're trying to go for a clear pour, I usually recommend either make absolutely sure that your cup is clean and has no little bits of stuff. What I'm talking about is when you're reusing a cup. Let's see if I can get a good example. Oh. Here's an example. Here's a used cup, and it's got like little bits of stuff all over the rim, and you can kind of scrape it out, but a lot of times it's hard to get it all, especially if you've got color in there. So if you're reusing a cup, just you want to really make sure that there's no little particles, because those will kind of show up in your clear casting. I prefer, if it's a big deal, whatever you're making, just go get a clean, brand new cup. That way you don't have to worry about it. All right, so we got all our notes. Let me get my gloves on here. Let's see, let me stop and see what's happening here. Yeah, I totally would have given up. I think I might, on Doug's project, Hodgepodge was saying that. I don't know. I think after the third one, I would be like, okay. But I think it depends also. I don't know. Depends on how you're feeling. But I do know that Doug was trying to get, that's what he was talking about on Wednesday. He was like, let's see if I can get this thing done on the stream. Or somewhere. You posted somewhere, maybe yesterday. All right, so I've zeroed out my scale. Let's get some, we're going to use Alumilite Clear Slow Set resin. My favorite. So I'm going to put, we're doing 800 grams. That's what I want to mix up total for this casting, but I'm going to put 600 in here and 200 in here. So I'm going to put part A, I'm going to put 300 grams in here, and I'm going to put 200 in there. No, that's not right. 300 and 100. I'm okay. In fact, here's a good tip. Mark on your stuff so you don't screw up something. I'm putting 100 grams of each, and I'm putting 300 grams of each. 300 grams of part A, 300 grams of part B. If you really want to get crazy, you can put X2, I think I know what I'm doing now, though. But it helps, especially if you have like really odd numbers. Some resins, if you're doing it by weight, it can be like some kind of odd ratio. That's actually one of the reasons I like Alumilite Clear, because it's just 1-to-1 and very simple to do, even for me to do mental math. I got a new pump on here. Ooh, look at that. Let's see here. We got 258, 280, need 300 in this one. So I'm adding the part A only to each one of these cups, then I'll add the part B to each one. The only reason I'm doing 2 cups is just because I don't have enough, or I don't have a bigger cup handy. 299. Oh man, we're sneaking up here. 300. We did it. Okay, zero the scale out on this guy, and we'll put 100 grams in this one. $94, $98. Oh, that was probably over. Ooh, 99.9. 100. Okay, so I'm going to zero this guy out. We're getting our B ready. So what I'm going to do, let's get our interference. And I just talked to Chad last week, and I should be getting the eye candy micas in soon. So I'm going to start using those. So I'm pretty excited. They actually have like, I think Chad was saying they got like, I don't know, like 40 colors or 50 or something like that. So they got a few more than Caster's Choice. So I'm excited to kind of try some of them out. So he's going to send some, and then eventually I'm going to have like a whole set, I think, eventually. So we should be getting going. We'll have all kinds of mica powders to play with. Let's see here. And then we want the metallic gold Alumilite. And we already have our Starlight glitter out here. So we got our, put those guys up there for now. I think those will be okay. All right, so zeroed out. Let's add 100 grams of part B. A new pump on this one too. Anybody excited about baseball? Oh, I went over a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit of part A here to even that out. I usually like to put a little extra part B when I'm using Alumilite Clear Slow Set. Clear or Clear Slow. If I'm doing something that's going to remain totally transparent or totally clear. It can help kind of make sure everything's super, your clarity is really good. You don't want to do that with other resins though, just to let everybody know. Okay, so I'm zeroing this one out. We're going to put 300 grams in this. Again, I don't mean to be like kind of confusing with this. It's just the only reason I'm doing this is because I only had quart-sized cups, and it's not enough. Nothing else was clean and ready to go. Probably could have, even with Alumilite, which is, you know, pretty fast working time. Even with that, I probably could have just, you know, mixed up another cup after I'd poured the first one. That is another way to go, but, you know, when it's a little warmer in your shop, you don't really want to just rely on that at the end, because I do have to mix up different cups with our powders as well. Okay, we got our cups here. Let's get a stick, get another stick. I'm going to mix up the first one, the smaller one first. Larger volumes of resin will kind of get warmer faster, so that's why I'd rather mix in the smaller cup first. And then, not that it really matters, it's just, you know, for working time's sake, I'd rather get the smaller amount going first. Now, technically, the second that you put part B in the cup, you know, it's going to start the timer starts for the working time. However, it's a little different having, you know, a big mass of part B in a cup sitting there, not mixed in and fully mixed, I think. That's just kind of my opinion. I don't really have any scientific factual basis for that, but it just kind of makes sense to me, you know. Some parts will start kind of commingling, but not necessarily all the part A's and part B's, like once you've actually mixed it. I'm missing the chat. It's funny when you want it to stay up, you know, previous, then it goes to the newest thing, and when you don't, it doesn't do that. I don't know what's happening. All right, we got our cups mixed here. I'm going to get a couple of smaller cups. I'm going to put, what did I say, 30 grams or so? 30 grams in each one of these guys. Those are going to be our colors. 35, close enough. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this to get it about the same as the other one. Pretty close, and I think I can actually just dump this in here now. This might have been able to hold 800 grams. I'm not sure. There we go. I'll just give this a little bit of a stir, and then we're good to go. Okay. So gold, we're going to go with, I don't think we really need a whole lot. We're just going to go with an 1/8 teaspoon. Interference blue, probably don't even really need that much interference blue, but let's just go with, I'm gonna put like some small scoops. I'm gonna use like a little scooper thing for that, just to kind of see what it looks like. Really, we don't really need a whole lot when we're dealing with 30 grams here. Get this out of the way. Can you guys see what's, yeah, you can see. So I'm just going to get a little scoop. It's really not going to be much. Okay. Start there and see how that goes. And then we're just going to do an 1/8 teaspoon of this, which is going to be, actually, that's really, we don't even need to do that. We're just going to get a small scoop on our, like that. Not much. That should be plenty. Mix it up over here for you guys. All right, so that's pretty decent. Maybe I could add a little bit more. Let's just add like a little tiny bit. But I'm just going to call that basically a small scoop. It's an engineered specific amount. All right, so we got our gold. Here's the interference. Going for really light on this interference on this one. I'm hoping that, you know, with the black pine cones behind it, and some other dark stuff like maybe that gold, this is very transparent. It's almost just milky, but we just want it to be kind of that ghost effect, you know. That's what I'm going for. You can kind of load this up a little bit more, and that's going to change things. It'll be a little bit more kind of white, pearly looking, kind of like how I do the abalone effects. We'll just go for this one. Go for something a little different, see how it comes out. Okay, so I'm going to close these guys up so that we don't get them messy. We got our Starlight glitter. Again, this stuff's available on my website. And I'm just going to use a little scoop thing for that. So, at this point, we're pretty much ready. So I didn't start a timer or anything like that. Let's see where our resin's at. I'm sure that we're probably more than good to go, but I think we still probably have a little bit of time left here. Oh yeah, we're only at 95 right now. So I'm actually going to wait. I actually got everything ready pretty quick. I'm going to wait till probably, well, I'll probably put the pine cones in now, but I'm going to wait a little while for these things to kind of heat up a little bit more so they'll kind of stay put and things will start kind of locking in. We want this to be, I want to pour it closer to when it's going to start hardening up. Who is from LA? I'm not from LA, but my parents are from LA. Let's see, I'm just scrolling up real quick while we're waiting for this resin. Eddie's here. What's up, man? Welcome. I'm glad you can make a live one. All right, so this is at 100. I am going to pour a little bit down in here. I'm going to push our pine cones down in. I don't think that these things should float. I don't know for sure, I guess, but I don't think they will. You know what I'm going to do? We're going to put a big black, small white. And we'll kind of do that, and then we'll kind of do that. So that ought to work pretty good. Hopefully this is enough resin. All right, I'm going to stop there for a second, and we're going to kind of do a little bit of this interference stuff. I'm actually going to pour this kind of high because I want it to drop down in a little bit. You see how I got to get something under this thing. Where's my little? I got a little HDPE block. You see how the black, I don't know, hopefully you can kind of see in there. See how the black really kind of makes that interference pop? And so it'll kind of give a couple different looks, I think. We probably could have added a little bit more of these colors, but and there's tons of different ways you can do this pour. What I'm doing is I'm going to use some of this clear to help kind of push some of that down even further. And you can use a stick, you know. I can grab I'm probably going to have to grab a longer stick here, but you know, if I want to get this stuff kind of mixed down in, you can also use syringes. Lots of different ways to do this, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to kind of stick that there. Let's see here. We're going to add, I'm going to wait. We're going to add some more of this stuff here. We need to add our glitter. I forgot about that. We're going to have to push this stuff down in. Oh, it blew up. Probably should have added some glitter to the clear. That I didn't think about that. That would have been kind of smarter. In fact, I think I'm going to take this pine cone out and I'm going to kind of push it back down in. Okay. Then I'm gonna, let's see here, what do we got? Yeah, this is gonna be kind of, the colors are gonna be on the top end, I think. I'm just gonna dump this and we're gonna see what happens, see how far we can push. What I meant to do was pour about half of the clear and then pour half, you know, half more later. But I think if we just kind of give this a good dumping, we should get that down in a good amount. And then I'm going to take my longer stick here and just kind of mix this around. The pine cones will kind of drag that stuff around with it. This was kind of a mess, guys. I got to be honest. This is not the best work I've ever done, but it's cool. It'll still turn out good, I think. All right, so, and then into the pressure pot we go. I'll just lift my little, actually, a good way to do this is just to use a rack. I wasn't thinking really. I know I told you not to lift it like that, but I had high hopes that everything was going to be fine. So here it is. I don't know if you guys can see in there. It's looking pretty good. A little bit kind of funky, funkadelics. And we'll get the lid on. Get our pressure pot rolling here, and we will be moving on. I'm thinking shark vertebrae next. Get this thing tightened down. There we go. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. I'm excited to see what that one looks like. Put our starlight away, our gold, our interference. Hang up our little thermometer. A lot of people ask, what temperature do you use and why do you use temperature? And all that's doing is looking at the warm, like at certain, as the resin is starting to kind of set up, it's going to get thicker and you're kind of, there's usually kind of sweet spots where things will kind of lock into place, especially if you're doing multiple colors and want to keep them separated. So that's why I use temperature, or if you're trying to suspend things, some glitters and some, trying to think what else. Well, in fact, some mica powders actually kind of tend to float or sink. Some dye colors are heavier, white's heavier than the rest. So that's why I use temperature, and it's a little bit more, I used to use time. I would just, you know, once I would mix, I would try to mix things the same amount of time, about, you know, give it about the same amount of time and be pretty consistent about the mixing. And then I'd hit a timer, and that's okay. There's nothing, that's a way to do it. That'll tell you how much time you've been working with it. But the problem is, you know, not all amounts of resin, you know, mix this at the same amount of time, and there's things that can kind of change that. Where a temperature, it's pretty much consistent. The only thing that affects it a little bit is the ambient temperature in your shop. If it's, you know, if you're used to normally doing things at, you know, 70 degrees and then in the summer it turns to 90, it's gonna kind of thin out your resin. So things will be a little different in that case. A lot of times you'll have to wait a little longer. All right. Oh, and thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're first up for the shark vertebrae. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I think so. So we're going to do these guys next. And he sent in, there's like two slightly different colors. One's a little bit darker blue than the other one. So it should be kind of cool. But I was thinking we'll just do pen blanks. And I don't know, is Steven here still? Steven, yeah, there he is. Steven is here. So how do you do these things? You just toss them in? You know, that's kind of how I've done it in the past. You cut them or do anything like that? I don't know what the best ways are. I've only made a few shark, maybe, I might have only used shark vertebrae once, actually. Maybe twice. It can be kind of hard to find. So we got 4 of each color. And so I'm thinking we can just kind of load up this 3 blank mold with them kind of. Maybe put in a couple sideways possibly. I don't know. Oh, Anne picked red. Okay, cool. I do like red. I thought she picked... Did she pick teal or red? Okay, okay, I see. Sorry, I had to read back the comments. Yeah, it's kind of a mud pie. That last one, I don't know. It'll probably be okay though. Pork chops and applesauce, nice. All right, so we got red. Let's see, where did Steven go? Is he here? Yeah, 117's all right. I right now, you know, it's in the 80s in my shop, and I've been kind of, if I'm really trying to keep colors separated, I've been usually doing about 110, 115 myself. And you know, a lot of you guys saw, I think it was like 135 or something like that on that big pour that I did with the piece of, you know, the green, lime green thing, the watermelon looking stuff. So, I mean, you can go high, and this is one of the things that I always tell people. They ask me what temperature, and it really kind of depends, because if you work best with kind of a really thick, you know, with it being thick, depending on how, you know, what you're trying to go for or how you pour things, some people may want to wait longer, you know, and some people may want to do it sooner, but, you know, it all kind of depends, and it really, I recommend that you try a couple different things myself. I also, for people that are just starting out, or if you're just starting with a new resin that you've never used before, I would literally just mix up a cup of it and like a decent, you know, some resin. You're going to waste it, but mix up, you know, 100 grams or so, 150, and just sit there and time it and look and temperature and just play with it until it literally hardens. That way you know exactly how much time you have with it. Doug wants yellow. Nice. Art's in the house. What's up, man? So I still haven't heard back from Steven. So I'm guessing, unless anybody else has any thoughts, if anybody else has cast these types of things, I don't really know of any other. It seems to me like this would be the best way to do it, is just stick them in kind of flat. I don't know if, you know, because the pen blanks are going to be situated this way. So, you know, maybe you could do them this way, but you're not really getting that vertebrae look that way. That's the one thing. I think maybe this way would be the best. But they're really big for a single pen blank. Like, you'd almost want to kind of cut them down. You know, to like stack them like they're vertebrae. I don't know. I don't really know what the best way to do it is. With a capital Y. Yellow. All right. So nobody has any thoughts about how we stick them in there? I don't know. Maybe, so how about this, guys? How about we put some in this way? And we do it like this. I think I'll do like 5 of them on one side. We'll do them like that. What do you think about that? I think that'd be kind of cool. That way we'll kind of see what they turn out like. We can get an idea maybe. All right, so we got red and yellow. If anybody else wants to super chat, now's the time. Otherwise, we're going with some red and yellow, and that's going to be pretty cool. So, Doug, do you want... I got a few yellows. I got neon yellow. I got sunrise yellow. And I have Divine Pigments dye yellow. This is going to be opaque. Or we got some Caster's Choices. And then for Anne, we got Blood Red, of course. I also have Super Russet from Pearl X. It's kind of a weird red, though. I think Blood Red is probably the best red that I got in Pearl. Or we can do the what's it called? Let's see here. Let me put some, I need to go get some more gloves. Those divine pigments, I don't like touching the bottles without gloves on because they just are messy. They dye all over them. So I'm going to get some gloves on. But we got the berry red, I think it's called, from Divine Pigments. So you got either blood red or berry red. And we got sunrise yellow, neon yellow, or whatever, I don't know what the divine one's called. Sunny yellow. Neon yellow. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, I'm going to put our yellow back here. We got neon yellow. I'm going to put the sunrise yellow back. Wherever that went. Now we're just waiting on the red. Let's see here. Blood red. Okay. All right. We are ready to rock. So I'm going to get my little notebook out here. And number 2, shark vertebrae. I'm calling this my 3 blank mold. It'll create 3 pen blanks. We're doing a little, like I said, experiment. We're going to see how does this kind of work. Now the middle one's going to be kind of a hybrid of both of them, both of these directions. And then this one's going to be, that way, and this one's, I'm pretty sure that this is how most people orient these things. But I've only done it once or twice. I don't know if there's any special tricks. I'm going to use slow set clear. Just filling in a couple notes about that last pour there. So this mold holds about 280 grams if I just wanted to pour in resin only and get 1 inch. So we can probably, I'm just going to mix up 250, I think. It's probably more than enough, but and then we're going to break it. I'm guessing just 50-50 split on this. We could kind of alter that a little bit, but let's just do 50-50. So that's 125 grams in each color cup. And then probably only need about a 1/4 teaspoon of each of these powders. If we need more, we can add more. I think we'll start with that. So get our cup here. Again, Alumilite clear, slow set. So we are going to do, let's see here. I'm going to do 125 grams of part A, 125 of part B. Oh, you know what? I'm totally screwing things up. These need to go into the oven, and actually that should have been going for a while. So I'm going to need to stall for a little bit because we want that to warm up. So doing a little bit of stalling here. You pour them on their side. So just to make clear so that so you mean like this, right? Not flat. I would call that flat. These are on their side. This side. Just so everyone knows that's watching. Let's see. Is there anything else going on that I can share with you guys? Not really. I've been just trying to get back on top of things since I got back from our little trip. Man, I'm bummed though. So we pay for, so baseball's finally back. I like baseball a lot, and I'm stalling, waiting for this mold to kind of heat up. So I apologize for that. But that's the wrong camera. And we pay for the MLB network, and I know that we're blacked out, but we used to be able to watch games that were on ESPN using like the cable provider thing, and they don't do that now. We can't log in and watch. So it was really a bummer. We didn't even get to see opening day last night. So Utah's asking about why do they need to be warmed up. So what ends up happening is if you got a kind of a cold, it's not cold in here, it's 81, but this is cool. This is only going to be about 80 degrees, and the resin's going to heat up a lot higher. And so what ends up happening, especially in these square molds, the resin tends to suck it into the center where the warmest is, and so you get these rounded corners. And so it's giving the resin a good environment so that you don't have weird, corners. It's not doing anything. There's nothing wrong with it really, but I thought that camera was on. So it just, sucks into the middle of your mold. And I've just found that you get kind of rounded corners, and unless you make a much bigger mold and then cut off those corners, you got funky looking pen blanks. It's just an aesthetics thing, and for most people it doesn't necessarily matter that much, but there's a couple other reasons also. If you're in a really humid area, you might have moisture on the surface of that mold. Best to stick it in an oven to flash off any moisture. Same goes for whatever you're sticking in there. Now, if it's like wood or something that holds on to moisture, then you need to fully dry it out before you cast it. But, even if it's stabilized, I stabilize pine cones and other different stuff. Even if it's stabilized wood, I'll stick it in the oven just to make sure that there's no surface moisture. And I live in Nevada. There's like literally no humidity here even, but just best to just warm things up like that. Yeah, that I'm telling you that the planetary goblet, not goblin. I almost read that. That Doug made was awesome. I love that project. Julie's here. What's up? Welcome to the stream. Glad you can make it. Like Doug's shoelaces in the 80s. Are you kidding? His shoelaces are still neon yellow. Mine are Velcro. Oh, and I'm wearing the dress socks with the Crocs today, guys. I dressed up for you, so I just want to let you know it's serious today. Yeah, just stare at the screen. Nothing to do here, nothing to see. And I have my oven. I've been finding that going a little higher. I usually tell people around 130 Fahrenheit. On the oven, and to be honest, I'm kind of leaning towards like get it up to 150, and that's why I want to wait on this one and make sure that everything's nice and warm. Finding that everything just kind of lays out a lot better. Well, thanks, Melvin. I appreciate it. You'll get in on the next color round. I'm gonna get started here soon, but we're gonna do. I'm still not sure exactly what we're gonna do with them, but we still have 2 more Lotus pods that we can do something with. I'm kind of leaning towards doing something where we don't really. At least you can kind of see this stuff transparent with this one because it's really cool. It's that abalone. This one is really cool too, but I could go for just like pen blanks on this because the colors I think and the shapes are cool. But I'm not sure exactly yet. We could do another handle like we did for the last ones, just kind of stick them in sideways. Those worked pretty good, but we didn't do transparent. So that maybe we'll do that. I was thinking about maybe making pen blanks, but we could do it like this and go for a transparent, like a clear kind of deal. And that way we can use them both and everything will work pretty good. My other thought was I was thinking about just kind of tossing one in one of these molds, making pen blanks. But it's kind of a weird, I don't know how awesome that's going to be. So let's just assume we're going to do this. I'm going to start heating that guy up too. All right, so this mold is starting to warm up. So let's get going with the resin. I've stalled long enough, I think. I think we're good. Yeah, that's what that is. It's a faux Lotus pod abalone thing. People asked about Heath during that Maker Day, the Easy Wood Tools and Carl Jacobson Maker Fair Day thing. And he's doing fine. I think he's just been kind of busy. Life stuff and just hasn't really had time to post and all that kind of stuff. So last I heard, he's doing good. So yeah, the green Lotus pot is glow in the dark. It said on the bottom. I don't think the other one is though. Forgot how to tie your shoes. Yeah, it does happen. All right, so let's get this thing going here. So let me, we got our stuff, we got everything written down. All I got to do is start mixing. Man, and I thought I was all like, oh, I'm, plenty of time. Everything was all like nonchalant, about 30 minutes before the stream started. Then I realized my jugs, the Alumilite jugs were a little low. Okay, no big deal. And then I was like, oh man, I had to break open a new 10-gallon kit and all this stuff. And then by the time I was done just filling these jugs up, I was like, oh my God, it's 3 o'clock. I can never be on time. I don't know. Even when I think I'm going to be. Probably not. I wasn't really late, I guess, but I basically was getting ready, setting cameras up at like 2:55. Let's see, 125 times 2. Ooh, almost there. Okay, that ought to do. Zero it out. We'll add 125, part B. So I have to be honest, I was a little bit bummed about Alumilite's announcement of Clearcast, Amazing Clearcast Plus. I was really seriously hoping that they were going to come out with scratch and sniff resin. That would be awesome. So I was a little disappointed, guys. I was shooting for scratch and sniff. But they got their Amazing Clearcast. They have a formula that's got UV inhibitor in it. Probably, it doesn't really do much for me necessarily because I don't really like the thickness, the viscosity of Amazing Clearcast, but for a lot of people that's going to be awesome. So they got that out now, and a little bird told me that they have another one planned, another different something else, new product coming sometime. I'm not sure when. So keep your eyes peeled. Alumilite's moving and shaking, guys. And don't forget, I'm an affiliate of them, so if you need to order, if you use my link, which I have links on my website, that Tools I Use page, and pretty much in every video at this point, the new going forward, and I'll probably go backwards and kind of add them. But if you use my link, it costs you nothing, and you're helping support the show because I get a little kickback from them. So I really appreciate that. And if there's a one-time discount code, 10% off, if you just type in ZAC10 during checkout. So just to let you know what's going on with give you the down low on that stuff. You gotta know. Let's see here, 125. We're gonna split this in half. So I'm gonna put 125 in this cup. Pretty close there, 123. I think that's good enough. And so we're going to do, let's see, we're going to try a 1/4 teaspoon in each one of these guys. And then we'll check and see how they're looking. I don't really like too transparent pen blanks. That means you got to paint the tube. So we got a 1/4 teaspoon of the yellow, and this is the neon yellow from the 80s. Hey, thanks, Julie, for the super chat. You'll be in on the next one too. We'll try a little bit of blood red over here. I'm pretty sure that the 1/4 teaspoon of blood red is going to be plenty. I don't have as much experience with the neon yellow, but I do know that blood red is pretty opaque. It doesn't take a whole lot to get it pretty well thickened up. So the way to tell, and it kind of helps to have a wooden. This is one reason to maybe use wooden stir sticks, but or something colored, sort of, is I'm just going to pull a little bit out. And, you know, with the thin amount that you can pull out on a stick, if you can still see the wood, you know, the grain of the wood through that, then it's not, you're probably going to have to paint the tubes, or you're probably going to see the tubes in your pen blanks. When I pull it in, and I'm looking at this and it's fine, it's covering it up, if you can't see the wood grain, then it's going to be pretty opaque in a pen blank. Like, shouldn't have to worry. I still recommend, you know, it's not a bad idea to use powder coated tubes or paint the tube just to make sure, because you don't really want to find out that, you know, one little spot you can see through or something like that. It's not something fun to find out after you've turned it. So looking at this, it looks like it's pretty opaque. I don't really see, I don't think the grain, but I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to add another scoop. I think one more quarter teaspoon, and there's like no question this will work. Some powders can be a little bit more transparent than others. A lot of the like light green colors tend to be pretty translucent. So I'm going to go back and adjust my notes here in a second. We did a half teaspoon of the neon yellow. That ought to be plenty thick or opaque. Okay, so let's put our spoons away and our powders. Now this is a time where I'm going to kind of wait till, like I said, sort of the end of the working time, but there's a lot of little holes to fill, so I don't really want to wait too late. You know, so we're at about 96 degrees right now, 97.5 on that one. I don't think I want to be waiting much longer than 100 or so. What was I going to do? Make a note about our half teaspoon of, oh, I didn't even write in the colors. Half teaspoon of neon yellow. Okay, so we got that. So we're pretty much just about ready to pour. And what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to pour the resin in, and then I'm going to shove the little things in afterwards. That way I'm going to try to minimize trapping too much air. I'm going to kind of try and let that resin kind of work around in there and get into all the little crevices in these shark vertebrae. So we're going to do multiple pours here. You guys can see, right? Pretty much. Put that there. All right, and a little bit more blood red. Okay, so like I said, we're pouring slightly earlier than maybe I might normally. And then I'm just going to kind of push these guys down, and I'm kind of trying to put it in at an angle so that I'm not just trapping an air pocket right off the bat. A lot of times, you know, you do your best, you still might get a few air pockets here and there. This might be better, you know, in a mold. See how that's kind of tipping? That might be a problem. Like keeping these things from moving around may be a little bit difficult, and you might be better off using some sort of like a silicone mold or something where you can kind of shove the piece down in. Actually, this isn't a bad way to go. Is just kind of give it a little spin. That should maybe free if there's any air pockets trapped in there, any air bubbles. Oh, and then these guys, you can just do what I just did, just drop it. Let them kind of float in. You shouldn't really trap any air doing it this way, letting them kind of just sink down in. That resin's just going to kind of fill in. You can see the little air bubbles here and there, but you really shouldn't get too many air pockets doing it this way, orienting them this way in your resin. Okay, so I'm going to kind of adjust this because, like I said, things kind of tend to move around. So I just want to kind of get these things the way that I want them situated somewhat. And one thing I need to do here is I want to fill the tops of these things with some resin. Probably should have left some. Oh, see, that's what happens when you get crazy. Probably should have left some in the cup to do that. I didn't think about it. I don't think it's really going to matter in this case because I'm probably just going to cut that part off. However, I'd rather just kind of fill this. It's also adding a little weight so that it doesn't really move as much in the pressure pot. Give it a couple little taps here and there. I'm going to push that down. I'm going to push this down. So hopefully these won't float. There could be some floating in this one, but even if it does float, it's probably just going to be kind of cockeyed, you know, like oriented sideways sort of in there, and it's probably going to be cool anyway. All right, so into the pressure pot we're going. I'm going to try not to kind of move this around much. All right, and we're going up to 70 psi. The warning for pressure pots: just don't go above whatever your pressure pot's rated for. Mine are rated for 80. I don't go above 70 in mine, just to make sure everything is good to go. Yeah, so if anybody didn't hear, so I guess Brian woke up and he's gonna they're gonna keep going with Caster's Choice, I guess. I'm not entirely certain what all transpired or whatever, but supposedly they're gonna be sending orders. We're still kind of waiting. I'm gonna be moving forward with eye candy also. Chad has like the list of equivalent ones, so it'll be one of those things you can pick and choose whichever one you want. You'll be covered basically. All right, so the next one is we're going to do this Lotus pod deal, and so on this one I want to keep it transparent because I want to be able to see this the abalone look in this, and also with this one. So last time we did these types, the other stoppers, which I also have that other stopper blank on my website. Let me actually go get that real quick, just while I'm thinking about it. Where is it? There it is. So yeah, so the other one that I didn't turn is up there. But we used, opaque colors on those. And so this one, let's go for some transparent colors. I think it's going to be pretty cool. So we have Melvin and Julie up for the colors. So you guys get to kind of pick, and the problem with this is, we can tint the resin and maybe add like an additive, like some sort of like a glittery type thing or whatever, but it's going to be kind of minute, like not much. Or we could do clear and then add a few swirls of color, but again, it's going to be very, minor in this because I want to kind of make sure that we are able to see inside of it. So, and if anybody has any other ideas or thoughts about how to do this and keep it transparent, let me know. But it's going to be up to Melvin and Julie to pick up what's going on here. Yeah, You know, Rich, actually, so that's something that really annoys me too, that Alumilite doesn't, you can't just order the 80-pound kits on the website. And I have expressed my my displeasure with that many times to them. And I think they're going to be working on getting that to be something that you can just order online, because it is kind of a pain. Like if you want to order, I mean, technically, you know, if you could order it online on Saturday or something like that when they're closed, you know, it's not like the order is going to go out Saturday, but at the same time, it's just nicer to just be able to go online for me and just be like, send, you know, go for it. So I think they're, hopefully we'll be working on that. That is one thing that I have told them. Yeah, I've been yapping a little bit. Let's see, what was Sam saying? Good resin for small items. Yeah, Alumilite Clear, the regular version, I would say. I don't think I would recommend using the Clear Slow, because it kind of depends on if you're going for clear stuff or transparent stuff. If you pour the Clear Slow in thin amounts, you end up getting this white haze kind of thing. It's like a blushing in a sense. And that's because the Clear Slow is intended, the reason they brought it out was to pour gigantic amounts all at once. And to do that without overheating, the resin doesn't get to, you know, the temperature that it reaches isn't as high. And so if you're pouring a very tiny amount, what ends up happening is it'll harden up fine. It'll cure. Because I use Alumilite Clear Slow Set for, where are they? For the here they are, for the Geezy style little mold things. And I mean, we're talking, these are tiny. You know, the resin that you're going to have left is in between these little things, like a 1/16 of an inch kind of thing. And it hardens fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is, like I said, transparent and clear things, you're going to get a white haziness with the Clear Slow. But the Clear works really well for small things. It hardens well, it polishes well. But you shouldn't really have that kind of blushing with the regular one. But you can, I mean, really, you can use any resin for that kind of stuff. Epoxies tend to be softer longer. It takes a little bit longer for epoxies usually to reach their full kind of hardness, but they usually do work eventually, most of the time. It depends on how small they are, though. Depends on how small you're talking. A pink. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Well, one thing that I could do is we can make the resin, I can add like the tiniest amount of red dye to the clear, and that can make the whole thing kind of pink, is what it ends up looking like. Yeah, no problem, Sam. One of the big things that I always kind of recommend people do, if you see other people that hopefully you trust, you know, I guess. But if you see people using a specific resin, doing the same types of things that you want to do, generally that's a good way to go and try it out. And that's not always going to work perfect, but you know, if like a lot of people use some specific resin for it, it most likely works pretty well for that purpose. But for the most part, Alumilite Clear works really well for a lot of things. The one thing that I do have to stop and make sure that you understand, though, is Alumilite Clear is a urethane resin, and it's got a very short working time, which means you have to pressurize it. So that's something that you're going to have to use with it. Other resins that are longer open times, they don't necessarily need to be pressurized, but you always have to do it with Alumilite Clear. So that may be a drawback for some people. Epoxies may work a little bit better because you don't have to necessarily use a pressure pot with it. And the reason for that is there's just literally not enough time for air bubbles to rise out of it before it sets up and hardens. So let's see. Julie and Melvin are coming up with something. Let's see, pink. Julie said transparent blue. Oh, okay, so we could do, yeah, that actually would look pretty cool. Let's see here. Copper. Wait, what happened to copper now? Who said copper? I think blue and pink would be cool. We could do like the blue resin and then add pink swirls. I've got fluorescent pink dye which would be real. I think that would be really cool. We can kind of do like that graffiti effect and let it just kind of, fall down in there. Another thing that we can do is we can do pink and blue graffiti style like that, where there's like kind of things are kind of, drifting down in these blobs of color around the pods. And just do that in clear resin. So either way, you guys, let's see here. Oh, nice. You got the Pink Floyd blank. Those things are fun. I always love making those. So let's see here. Graffiti style. Yeah, I don't know about copper. I mean, it would work probably, but to be honest, there's a little bit of a kind of a coppery green color in the other one already. I don't know. I think it might be kind of interesting to see how this kind of graffiti, just let two colors just try and kind of float down in there. And I think the blue and the pink would probably look pretty good with the my main thing here. I'm really, if I have to pick one of these guys, I'm going to pick something that complements the abalone one, because I think that thing's going to look really, really killer. I love the abalone effect. So let's try that out. Let's give it a shot, and we'll go with the blue and the pink. We'll do fluorescent pink dye. That's not it. We'll do some fluorescent pink Alumilite dye, and we will do, I think we'll do I love this, I think it's Lagoon, is that right? Lagoon Blue Divine. What do you think about that? We'll do that. Unless you guys are totally against that. Okay, Melvin's on. And switch to this view, and we'll get going here. So I'll start writing my notes down. All right, so number 3, the third and final casting of the night. We're doing more Lotus pods. Let's see, so this mold holds, that's my slightly smaller one. Why don't we do, shoot. You know what I want to do, I think. Yep. I want to put this, so we're going to have to kind of restart the clock on this. I want to put this in my slightly bigger 2-inch mold. This time it'll just give us a little bit more space. This one's about 1 3/4, and it ends up, by the time you kind of cut the edges and everything, it's about a 1 1/2. I kind of consider it my stopper blank mold. So let's switch it out. We'll have to give it a little bit more time for the mold to heat up, but it shouldn't take that long. So we're doing 2-inch block mold. We're using slow set clear. Let's see here. So that one holds probably about 420 grams if I was just trying to fill it with resin. And we got a couple of pretty big Lotus pods, but at the same time, they're kind of big, but they have a lot of holes and don't have a lot of mass. So let's just mix up, just to make sure we aren't low or short. Let's mix up 360. Let's see, 4. Yeah, I think that should be good. What did we do on the last one? That was actually pretty good. Let me look up. This is why it's good to have notes, because we actually pretty much nailed it on the last one. 360. Look at that. I'm smart. I'm on top of things today, guys. 360. That was about good enough. That was pretty good for that. So that's 180 times 2. And we're going to mix up a bunch of clear, and then we're going to do what I call my graffiti effect, where we're going to just kind of let blobs of color kind of float down into there. And I think in this case, there's not a lot of room, because we got, the graffiti thing usually works. You're just doing it in just a trough, and just there's nothing in there. So I think we might actually pour a little bit earlier than normal on this one, slightly earlier than normal, just so we make sure that it's kind of floating down in there and getting around. Thanks, Amy. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been doing about one. I've got the temperature in there is well, it's actually a little bit lower than that. This thing fluctuates quite a bit actually, but I've been trying to kind of get it up to about 150 or so, somewhere between 135 and 150 basically is what I'm running it at, and I'm finding that hotter is a little, like, closer to 150 is a little bit better. I'm getting less of that corner creep stuff, but pretty much, I mean, as long as you're somewhere around, 130, 140, you should be pretty good. All right, so Lotus pods, we're using, let's see. And then we're doing mostly clear. And then we're going to break off. We got two colors. We're doing pink and blue. And let's see here. We don't need a lot. Like, we just literally need like 10 grams of resin for each of those probably. Let's do 15 just to make sure that we have enough of this. And really don't need a whole lot of dye in there. Let's see, 15 grams. Let's say I'm going to bump this up to 20, just it makes calculations a little easier. So 20 grams. We may not use it all. And just to make sure that we're not going over, I'm going to add 0.03 grams of dye to each one of those things. And that's about 3%. I realize that's not 3% of 20 grams, but the way that I factor it, it's based on only half. So 1.5% of the total. So let's see here. What do we got going on here? Nice. Everything's going good. So I think we're ready to rock here. What was it? 180 times 2, which this is really close. I'm going to go get my 180 is a little bit much for that cup. So I'm going to get my, this is a 24 ounce cup, I think, or 20 ounce cup. One of the two. It's bigger than 16. It'll hold 180 grams. Oh, and I need to go get some more gloves. Need to stock my gloves up here. All right. All right, so we got it zeroed out. Move this out of the way so I don't get resin all over it. I'm going to make sure that I got my notes here correct. Lagoon blue dye, and we're using fluorescent pink dye. Okay, so I think we should be good to go. So 180 of part A. $174. Whoa, 182. That's cool. We'll go over a little bit. It'll work fine. So 182, and then I'm going to add 182. I'm going to add a little extra part B to this. You don't want to do this with most resins, but this works with the Lumelite Clear Slow Set. I'm going to add 1 more gram of B just to make sure everything's nice and clear in the end. So 183 in this case. All right, there we go. All right, so we'll mix it up. Thanks, Paul, I appreciate it. You rock. I don't know about super skills, but I try. Sometimes I just gotta wing it. That's how everyone is, right? Some days you're like, that's good enough. All right, so we almost got this mixed up already. And like I said, what I'm going to do is we're going to break off 20 grams into each one of these little condiment cups. And we're going to add our dyes to those. The majority of this is just going to be clear resin that we're pouring into the mold. And then we're going to just dump some little, wisps kind of the dyed resin. And it should kind of just float down in. It's what I call the graffiti effect. It kind of looks like street art. The first time that I did it, I was like, wow, that's like graffiti. So that's why I call them graffiti blanks. So let's see here, we're at 15, 18, 19. Pretty close to 20 there. Ah, there it went. Tipped over. Just barely. So we're going to go with Lagoon Blue from Divine Pigments. You always want to shake up these ones. All of the Divine Pigments brands. You want to shake up. They have they're pigment based, which means that there's like big particles that can settle out. Okay, so we got, don't want to really go too far over, oh, that went down a little bit. I'm shooting for about 0.3 or so grams. Might have gone a little over, but we should be good. And then we'll zero this guy out. And we got that, okay. 0. Okay, and 0.3. And actually the same goes for the fluorescent alumilite dyes. They're kind of a pigment-based thing. Things can kind of settle out in them. Same goes for the white and black and alumilite dyes as well. The rest of them pretty much stay in suspension. It's super fine dye particles. You don't really have to worry, but anything that's kind of a pigment or anything that's opaque, kind of, that's where that'll tell you that you should really probably stir it up. I think I'm going to add a little bit more of the pink. I think I actually usually use a higher number. So let's put this back on and add about, we're going to take it up to about 0.5. My scale is kind of wigging out today, so I think we might just kind of have to wing it. Till it's what I want it to look like. All right, I think that's pretty good. And then we got our Lagoon Blue here. I'd add just a little bit more of this fluorescent. Kind of know what it usually looks like. I actually use the fluorescent pink a lot. Pink, blue. My original graffiti blanks were pink and blue plus interference red and blue, and then some silver. Really like that combination. So I use the pink for a lot of things, and I kind of know what I'm looking for, what I want it to look like. All right, so let's see what temperature we're at. I think I'm gonna try to pour this again at around like 100. Do our pouring, and yeah, so we're already at a 101. So I'm a little over where I kind of wanted to be, but I think it's gonna be just fine. So I'm gonna pour about half of this in. I just want to see where it's at, and then I want to make sure that we're filling these little lotus pod things with resin. Keep those things nice and filled up. Put one way, put the other one the other way. Okay. And then all we do for this graffiti effect is we're just gonna dump these guys like this. We're just gonna kind of add them in, and they're gonna kind of sink a little bit as time goes on. Like I said, it kind of looks like street art. I'm not going to mix it or swirl it or do any of that kind of stuff. I want gravity basically to do all of my work for me. And I'm pouring it a little heavier than I normally would because I want to get this down in there. I want to make sure that it does sink. We poured it a little bit later than I would have wanted to normally. Shoot. I don't have a pressure pot. I forgot. So let me mute this. I meant to pull this brick of pen blanks out of this because I needed the spot to fill our third one. So I apologize for any loud noises going on here, but I'm kind of hurrying. All right, and then into the pressure pot we go. And again, up to 70 psi is what I'm going to go to. Make sure you don't over pressurize your pressure pot. Whatever the max is that they say on the pot or in the instructions, you do not want to go above that. And everything should go great. Shouldn't have any problems. Okay, got resin all over my fingers somehow. I like to wipe my sticks off before I move on. You can peel the resin off, but I find it's a lot quicker if you just clean it. And I just use a little bit of acetone. Get everything clean, and you're ready to use the same exact stick on your next pour. So that's the way I usually do it, unless I forget. Sometimes you walk away and realize that the stir stick is still sitting in the cup, dried, and you're like, well, I guess I'll peel it off this time. So I guess that's all we got today. But man, we did a lot of cool stuff. So we did. Let's see here. What did we do the first time? We did. Now I can't remember. Let me look at my notes. Oh yeah, the PVC pipe. I knew it wasn't just pen blanks. So we did a PVC pipe with plastic with Alumilite pine cones in it, and made it kind of. We'll have to see how that one turns out, because that wasn't my greatest pour ever. But at the same time, because I was kind of stirring it up a lot, at the same time, I have a feeling that blank's going to probably look okay in the end. A lot of times you're looking at it like, oh, and you kind of scream a little bit. But once you demold something like that, with the pine cones in there and all the different shapes, I think even if it's a little bit muddied, because I was kind of stirring it up a lot, I think it's going to look pretty good. And then we did some pen blanks with the shark vertebrae. Hopefully everything stayed where it was supposed to. And then obviously we just did the Lotus pods, some more of those, and I think those are going to be pretty cool. So big thank you to everybody that super chatted tonight. You guys are awesome. Don't forget to check out Doug's video. He did a really awesome goblet that has like, literally it looks like Space Planet's awesomeness. And he persevered. I think the thing broke. The stem broke, like, I don't know how many times, like 5, or he didn't even show it all, but it was like, it must have been 5 or 10 times that it broke, and he fixed it, CA glued it back on, and he, in the end, persevered, so make sure to check that out. It was pretty cool. He used some of my, the Blurple, the color shift powder, for in the purple part of it, so I was pretty excited about that, but the planets came out perfect, so, and just in the shape of it and everything, and the perseverance. So awesome. Good on you, Doug, for hanging in there on that piece. Let's see, is anything else going on? I don't have a video this Sunday. Like I said, I was out of town last week, so trying to play a little bit of catch up right now. But next week, the schedule is going to be for live streams again. You know, Friday. And I got to keep an eye on the calendar. But it's not next Friday. It's going to be the Friday after. So August 7th is going to be the Patreon live hangout. So next Friday we're going to be doing Dunkin Junk, and then next week, probably I'm guessing on Wednesday, we'll do maybe some sort of a turning type thing, or making a project. I think I'm going to keep trying to do 2 streams a week. One of them be, you know, turning something or working on a project, kind of maybe do some resin casting, but kind of typically try to do some sort of a project, and then on Fridays will be Dunkin Junk resin casting stuff. So anyway, I hope everybody has a really good weekend. Let me stop before I get out of here and just double check. HDPE stir sticks. I do have them. Yeah, I just cut it out. It's like 3/32. So I just cut them out, and they're cheap and pretty easy to make. Let's see here. Can we see the block you just pulled from the pot? Oh yeah, it's just a pine cone block. My green apple pine cones. It has a little bit of stoner on the outside, so I usually wipe that off. Yeah, I was running low on the green apple pine cones, so I had to make some more. So I'll be cutting these up. Don't worry, we won't be running out of green apple pine cones anytime soon, guys. So, and actually, I don't usually mention it, but yeah, I sell pen blanks. That's the majority of my business on my website. So if you have any pen blank needs, I got all the kind of team colors and pine cones and all kinds of different stuff. And then the short run section are for things that I've just kind of played around with, or we made on the show. That's where you'll find those. They're kind of the ones that I'm not necessarily going to restock them, but all the other pen blanks I just keep restocked. So just to kind of let everybody know, I don't really talk about that much. So anyway, let me see if there's any other questions before I get going here. Let's see. Yeah, it's 4:45. Let's see here. Yeah, Sam, get some Alumilite. And actually, again, if you haven't used my discount code, you can just use that. And then the links. There's a link down in the show notes of this video, and there's also links, if you use the links that are on my website under the tools I use section. Let me just put another link to that. And this goes for if anybody, you know, like the 4-inch PVC pipes or the little silicone stoppers and all the different things that I use, that tools I use page for the main things that I use, you can use that. But that's the link to Alumilite, and if you use that link, then Alumilite gives me a referral bonus. But if you use my code ZAC10 during your checkout, you'll save 10% on your first order. You can use that code once. So if you're going to go order Alumilite, don't forget to use that code. Let's see, is there any other little questions here? Unboxing review, oh man. Yeah, I'm waiting for my, I don't know if I'm going to do a video and all that kind of stuff on it, but I bought one of the what is it? The Nova drill presses, the Voyager. So I'm looking for it. How do you unmold HDPE without screws? Well, I mean, if you use mold release, because I didn't do that. I use mold release, and then a lot of times they'll just pop right out. But one thing to keep in mind, that only works if if you don't get the walls of your mold, if they're like kind of not really 90 degrees, then nothing's gonna let them out. You're gonna have to open it up. So luckily I got the walls 90. I wouldn't really recommend making them like wide, I don't think, but try to get it 90, and then with a little bit of mold release, and that was a brand new mold. Also, this is like I just made this with brand new HDPE, so the resin's just been falling out of them basically. So that's how you do it. Let's see, make sure I'm not missing any questions. I don't think so. I don't think there's any big questions. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's somebody asked me there's been a few questions that came in. I don't know if I can remember them on email if they applied. I don't think so. Well, one thing that I don't know who sent it in. I was having I realized that my buffing wheel, that the triple E wheel, was all gunked up. Somebody gave me, shoot, I don't know what it was, but there's actually a tool to clean buffing wheels that I'm probably going to look into. You can just use 80 grit sandpaper backed up on like a piece of plywood. That's how I usually clean them. And I just did that actually on that one. So, but there is actually kind of a tool thing, like specifically meant to clean out the gunk and just kind of refresh your buffing wheels if they're kind of clogged up or if there's metal stuff in them. So that is kind of a little bit of a tip. I don't know what it's called, but they do have those things if you're interested in picking one up and don't want to use 80 grit sandpaper every time. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys had a good time. Again, thank you to all the super chatters. I really appreciate the support. And then, like I said, no video this weekend, but next week we'll be back in action. We'll do something. I'm not sure. I want to turn something. I've got a few things that I can turn, but things are kind of stacking up with projects that I need to kind of time things right. So I'm not sure what we're going to do, but hopefully on Wednesday, we will do some sort of a turning project live, and then on Friday we'll be doing some resin casting stuff that I'm not sure. We're pretty much, I think we're out of most of the Dunkin junk stuff that I've had in stock, so we'll have to kind of come up with something fun. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a good weekend. Get in the shop and make something, have some fun with it, and I will see you guys all on the next stream. Have a great evening.